Now, to a really disturbing story from Britain. It's the really sharp, hard new edge of the cancel culture. Now, I mentioned before that Nigel Farage, the former head of the right-wing UKIP party who helped get Britain out of the European Union, appears, of course, regularly on Sky News, suddenly had his bank, Coutts, cancel his accounts. And at least 9 other banks said they wouldn't give him an account either. Now, journalists of the left, they started mocking Farage, like there's no big deal, saying Coutts just kicked him out because he didn't have enough money, ha, ha, ha. But now the truth is out, and it is ugly. Joining me from London is Patrick Christys, a host at GB News, where Farage also has a show. Always great to talk to you, Patrick. Look, Farage has somehow got documents from Coutts, the bank, showing why it really banned him as a customer. Apparently, it didn't align with the bank's views. Tell us about these documents.
Yeah, this is the epitome of how woke, lefty, liberal elites have got their tentacles wrapped around every single structure in this country and are trying to use that to implement a Chinese-style social credit system as much as they can. They are trying to debank, deplatform and non-person anybody who does not align with their brand values, OK, or their world view. I've got here some of the reports from that subject access form that Nigel managed to get off Coutts, this bank. It mentioned Brexit 86 times, Russia 144 times. Now, that was a hoax. Nigel, as the bank admitted, has no evidence that he's received any money from Russia or Putin or anything like that. So that was absolute rubbish. That was still mentioned 144 times. The fact that he was a politically exposed person was mentioned 10 times. Well, that's anyone involved in politics. His support for Donald Trump, his desire to cut immigration and his desire to push back on net zero. Well, the reality is that most people in this country at one point were asked to vote for Brexit and they backed Brexit. Most people are against net zero and most people want to cut immigration. So if that doesn't align with the bank's values, then, well, they're going to have very, very few customers. But the BBC just swallowed this line. Our lovely state broadcaster over here, they put out a load of stuff that said Nigel didn't have the funds. That turned out to be false. It also looks as though Coutts themselves might now have broken the rules and be in trouble with the Financial Conduct Authority. We are calling for an investigation and an apology from both of those outlets, because we are saying, realistically, they are, after all, just a bunch of bankers. But look, there's a wider point here that this really could happen to anybody. And if you haven't got the clout or you haven't got the platform of Nigel Farage or somebody like that, then you end up having essentially all of your assets frozen and taken away from you for not having the right views. And that is chilling.
Well, the number of journalists that were cheering this on, using false information that I suspect came from Coutts itself, is really chilling. It seems that, they think free speech is fine for them, but should be denied anyone they don't like. I mean, it's just disgusting. But Patrick, talking about bans, now, you got kicked off from Twitter, even though Elon Musk bought the joint and said, let free speech rule. Yeah. How on earth did that happen?
Yes, so Just Stop Oil, which is, I hope you don't have them in your country, but anyway, we've got them over here. They put orange shirts on and they try to cause disruption because they, just want us to stop drilling for new oil. Well, they went to George Osborne's wedding. It's not his first wedding, by the way. I suspect it probably won't be his last, actually. But they went to his wedding and lobbed a load of confetti over him and his new bride as they walked out of the church. Now, I tweeted, as a joke, if somebody did that at my wedding, they will be getting buried in the graveyard behind the church very shortly afterwards. Well, what happened was a load of lefties decided to report me for making violent threats. And Twitter gave me a lifetime ban with no opportunity to ever open another Twitter account yet again. Twitter didn't actually tell me what it was that they'd banned me for. It was just because I saw a load of lefties gloating about it on the platform via friends that I realised. So I politely pushed back to Twitter and said, you allow the Taliban on your platform and you allow the Ayatollah of Iran on there. Now, when it comes to making violent threats, it doesn't get too much more violent or threatening than those two absolute beasts towards humanity, does it? So in the end, there was enough of a public backlash to it. I made a little Twitter video that we put out on GB News, which is, of course, a massive platform that had about 1 million views. And then Twitter, their lifetime ban, thankfully lasted less than 24 hours. But for making a joke about something that is taken out of context, again, you can receive a lifetime ban from arguably the world's largest social media platform.
Yeah, how come any Just Stop Oil activist isn't banned automatically? I mean, interrupting a guy's wedding, I'm sure he's a former minister, but what difference does that make? You know, they don't like Conservatives. I mean, sure, let the guy have a wedding in peace. I mean, it's just so outrageous, Patrick. Lastly, a long time ago, Patrick, we say this with some feeling down here in Australia, Britain did used to keep prisoners in prison hulks, rotting ships on the Thames, off some coastal cities, and they included convicts later sent here to Australia. Well, these hulks are back in a form. Your government has got thousands of boat people now crossing from France. So to deal with the overflow, it's got a barge called the Bibi Stockholm that it's towed to Dorset to house 500 asylum seekers. Now, how is that little, back to the past kind of move going down?
Well, it's quite literally an ocean-going failure, Andrew, because this barge will house 500 men. Again, I will just politely ask, where are all of the women and children refugees? But no, this is just 500 young men. There's massive local opposition to it. We've had 1,000 arrivals via the Channel in small boats in the last 2 days. So you'd need to build enough barges that you could line them up across the Channel and people can just walk to Britain. I mean, why don't we just cut out the middleman and make them do that? This isn't a prison ship, though. There is an hourly taxpayer-funded bus service that takes these young men into the local towns, and they're not even given a proper curfew. They're strongly encouraged to be back by 11 p.m. in the evening. But if you or I, Andrew, were told that we just walked across 2 continents and were potentially about to be deported, I don't think I'd be inclined to come back. Do you? So, yes, it is absolutely staggering, and it is only a matter of time until there is a massive, massive safety and security issue here, and the government is just letting it happen.
Patrick, the world's going crazy, but thank heavens there's GB News over there and our Talk TV to straighten people out. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.